Hey guys, today I'm going to teach you how to do an isolation. Isolation looks like this. Right? So the idea of an isolation is that the circle does not move. The hoop itself is going to be rotating, but the circle stays in one fixed position to kind of create the illusion that it is somehow magically floating there. You are controlling this magic. Anyways, so the first thing that I want you to do is pretend that your hoop is a steering wheel, a very big steering wheel. So much like a steering wheel, our hoop circle is not going to move. It's going to be in a fixed location, rotating around a center point, like a steering wheel, right? So when we drive, our hands rotate around the steering wheel, around this center fixed location. So when we're driving, the hoop isn't going like that, or the steering wheel isn't going like that, or anything like that. It stays in one fixed position, and our hands are merely tracing around it. All right? So after you've done that for a little while, the next thing that you're going to do is grab it from the bottom. Now, most of you are going to be right-handed probably, so you're going to want to grab it with your right hand. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab it with my left hand so that I can be the mirror image of you for when you are trying to learn this. So you're going to take it from the bottom center, and the hoop's going to be in a nice vertical position in front of you, like so. And you're going to start to just do the bottom half, rotating around the bottom half. And you'll find that this is going to be a little trickier than our little steering wheel exercise. You can still pretend it's a steering wheel and you're guiding it from the bottom. But just do the bottom part from 3 o'clock for you to 9 o'clock. And really try to keep that circle still. And a couple of ways of trying to keep that circle still is by finding the center point of the circle and kind of unfocus your vision on the center, keeping the hoop in your peripherals so that you can try to keep that in one fixed position. All right, so after you've practiced that for a little while, we're going to go to the next part, which is a little bit trickier. So the next thing that we're going to do is at about 9 o'clock, we're going to have to release the hoop. And so what's going to happen, I'm going to guide this at the bottom just for slow-mo's sake, so this hand is not normally going to be here. So what's going to happen is you're going to release and let the hoop roll over the back of your hand and catch it on the other side. All right, so there's going to be two main things that you need to focus on for this part. One is the release and roll over and catch. And the second part, very, very important, is to keep your hand moving around the circle, right? So when you release and let it roll over, you need to keep that circular movement of your arm. The tendency for a lot of people is to get to here, freak out, let go, and then the hoop goes around their hand. But you're not going to do that. You are going to keep your hoop moving arched over that circle. I'll give you a little bit of a closer view of that hand. It's going to go like that and catch it over there. So you want to make sure that the hoop stays in contact with your hand the entire time. At no point are you letting go and dropping it or anything like that. It's going to roll over, keeping in contact with your hand the entire time. So you can practice that part by itself, back and forth. Arch over and arch back. Release, catch, arch and catch. Once you've done that a handful of times and you start feeling a little bit more comfortable with that, you can try to do one entire isolation. So again, we can start from our bottom center point. We rotate around, release, catch, and go all the way back down to our center point. And then you can try to do a continuous isolation, and you try to keep your speed relatively the same all the way around. It may have to speed up a little bit in order for that catch to happen, depending on what speed you're going. All right, so the other way that you can do this is the other direction. And so with this one, you're going to stop at your 3 o'clock and land at your 9 o'clock. Again, always either focusing in the center and keeping the hoop in your peripherals, or practicing in front of a mirror to try to hone that circle down to one still, unmoving object. And then you can switch hands and practice doing it in both directions with both hands. And there's your isolation. A couple of things to note about the isolation is, unlike a lot of other hoop moves, there's not really like a point where it's going to click and bam, you're going to have it all of a sudden. With the hoop, it's more of a slow evolution of refining. So it's totally okay if at first your circle is kind of like this, as long as you're not trying it and having it go like that, because that is, it's just not an isolation. But if your circle is kind of close to being still, you just keep on practicing, refining that circle, and slowly you'll find it starts to get to be still in the center. And one last tip, one other tip would be, when you do catch it, try not to like depth grip, like bam, this is my catching point, and then I move around the circle again. So I would suggest like a slow release and a slow catch, as slow as you can. So kind of release and catch, release, catch. My fingers kind of even go like 1, 2, 3, 4 as I'm catching it. And that kind of helps to smooth out the whole move, so you're not like bam and then move and then bam and then around. More of a nice, soft, easy movement. All right, well, I hope that that was helpful. Feel free to comment any questions or concerns, or email me. And thank you guys for watching the tutorial.